I stared at the pregnancy test, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped it. 2 pink lines, clear as day. Undeniable, no, 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 I whispered, sliding down to sit on the cold bathroom floor. My phone buzzed on the counter. Daniel's name lit up the screen, working late again, don't wait up. I typed back with trembling fingers. Okay, that was it, that was all we'd become. Okay, working late, don't wait up. I looked at the test again and the tears came. I should have been happy. We'd talked about having a baby for years, but now I couldn't even celebrate because I didn't know whose baby this was. Daniel's or Marcus's? Marcus. God, what had I done? It started 4 months ago at that marketing conference in Chicago. I'd given a presentation on consumer behavior, and afterward, this gorgeous man approached me at the hotel bar. That was brilliant. He'd said, those green eyes fixed on me like I was the only person in the room. I'm Marcus Reed, Claire Hayes. I'd responded, shaking his hand, let me buy you a drink, Claire Hayes. Anyone that's smart deserves champagne. I should have said no. I should have mentioned my husband, but Daniel hadn't complimented my work in months. Daniel barely looked up from his blueprints when I came home. Daniel was always working, always tired, always somewhere else. Marcus made me feel seen. One drink became dinner. Dinner became a walk along the Riverwalk, and then I'd done the unthinkable, just coffee. I'd told myself the next time Marcus texted. Then it was lunch, then drinks, then a hotel room where I stopped being Daniel's wife and became someone I didn't recognize. Now I was sitting on my bathroom floor, pregnant, with no idea whose child I was carrying. My phone buzzed again. Marcus, this time, thinking about you. When can I see you? I used to get butterflies reading his messages. Now I just felt sick. I pulled myself up, looked at my reflection in the mirror. My mascara was smudged, my eyes red. Who was this woman staring back at me? How did you let this happen? I asked my reflection, but I knew how. Loneliness, neglect, the slow death of intimacy that happens when 2 people stop trying. But that didn't excuse what I'd done. Nothing excused it. I heard the garage door open. Daniel was home. I quickly splashed water on my face, shoved the pregnancy test in my robe pocket, and tried to compose myself. Claire, Daniel called from downstairs. Up here. I managed, my voice barely steady. I heard his footsteps on the stairs, and suddenly I knew. I couldn't keep this secret. Not for 9 months, not for another day. When he appeared in the bathroom doorway, I saw the exhaustion on his face. He'd loosened his tie, and his dark hair was messy from running his hands through it. You okay? He asked, actually looking at me for once. No, I whispered. Daniel, I need to tell you something. 3 days passed before I found the courage. 3 days of carrying this secret like a bomb in my chest, waiting for the right moment to detonate my entire life. I found Daniel in his home office on a Saturday morning, bent over his drafting table. Sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating the blueprints spread before him. He was so focused, so dedicated to his work. Daniel, we need to talk. He didn't look up immediately. Just finished drawing a line with his mechanical pencil, precise and careful. Everything Daniel did was precise and careful. Finally, he set the pencil down and turned to me. What's up? I couldn't do this standing. I sat on the leather couch across from his desk. I'm pregnant. His face transformed, pure joy lighting him up like a kid on Christmas morning. He stood, moving toward me. Claire, that's incredible. We've been hoping. I had an affair. He froze mid-step. What? His name is Marcus. It's been going on for 4 months, and I don't. My voice broke. I don't know whose baby this is. The silence was worse than screaming. Daniel just stood there, staring at me like I was speaking a language he didn't understand. "Daniel, please say something. Get out," he said quietly. "What? Get out of this room, get away from me. I can't. I can't look at you right now. Daniel, I'm so sorry. I know I messed up, but we can get out." His voice exploded through the room, louder than I'd ever heard it. 7 years of marriage, and I'd never heard him yell like that. I stumbled backward toward the door, tears streaming down my face. "I'll sleep in the guest room," I whispered. "No." His voice was eerily calm now, which scared me more than the shouting. "You'll sleep wherever you want. I'm calling my lawyer Monday morning." "A lawyer? Daniel, can't we talk about this?" He finally looked at me, really looked at me, and what I saw in his eyes broke me. Not anger, not even hurt. Just emptiness. "We're doing a DNA test the moment that baby is born. Until then, you're going to live with what you've done. You're going to walk around this house every day knowing you destroyed us, knowing you betrayed everything we built together. I was lonely. I cried. You're always working, always gone. So you cheated." He laughed bitterly. "You couldn't just tell me you were unhappy. You couldn't just use your words like an adult. No, you had to go sleep with someone else. I tried to tell you, you never listened." When did you try?" I opened my mouth, but nothing came out, because he was right. I'd never actually tried. I'd just assumed he should know, should sense my unhappiness, should read my mind. That's what I thought. Daniel said, "Get out, Claire. I need to think." I left, closing the door softly behind me. In the hallway, I slid down the wall and sobbed, hearing Daniel's own muffled crying through the door. What had I done? I sat in my car in our driveway at midnight, unable to go back inside. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone and called Marcus. "Claire, it's late. What's wrong?" His voice was smooth, concerned, the voice that had made me feel special. I told Daniel everything. Silence. "Marcus, did you hear me? I told my husband about us, about the affair." Why would you do that?" "Because I'm pregnant." My voice cracked. "I'm pregnant, Marcus, and I needed to be honest with my husband because this baby might be yours." The pause stretched so long I checked to make sure the call hadn't dropped. "You're pregnant?" He finally said. "Yes. Daniel wants a divorce. He wants a DNA test. This is really happening. Claire, baby, this is a lot to process. Can we talk tomorrow? I need time to think." Something cold settled in my stomach. Time to think. "Marcus, you told me you loved me. You said if I ever left Daniel, we'd have a future together. I do care about you, Claire, but a baby, that's really serious. I'm not sure I'm ready for that kind of responsibility. Ready for it." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You should have thought about that before we slept together. You said you were on birth control. Birth control isn't 100% effective, Marcus. You know that." He sighed, and I heard something in the background, a woman's voice asking who was on the phone. "Who is that?" I demanded. "Nobody, just, you're married." It wasn't a question. Suddenly everything made sense. "Oh my God, you're married. That's why we always met at hotels. Why you never invited me to your place. Why you always had weekend business trips you couldn't see me on. It's complicated." "Answer me, are you married?" "Yes," he admitted quietly, "but it's not what you think. We're basically separated, we just haven't made it official yet." I hung up and screamed, slamming my hands against the steering wheel over and over until they hurt. I'd destroyed my marriage for this. For a liar, for a cheater who was doing to his wife exactly what I'd done to Daniel. My phone buzzed. Sophie's name appeared, my best friend, the one who'd warned me about Marcus from the start. "You okay?" "Haven't heard from you in days," I called her. "Sophie." I sobbed the moment she answered. "You were right about everything." "Oh honey, what happened?" Marcus is married. I'm pregnant. Daniel wants a divorce. Everything is falling apart. I'm coming over, she said immediately. No, don't, I'm in my car. I can't face Daniel right now. Then I'm coming to you, don't move. 20 minutes later, Sophie's car pulled up behind mine. She slid into my passenger seat and pulled me into a hug while I cried into her shoulder. I'm so stupid. I whispered. You're not stupid. You made a mistake. A big one, yes, but you're human, Claire. I destroyed my marriage for a man who doesn't even want me. Then maybe. Sophie said gently, this isn't about Marcus at all. Maybe this is about you figuring out who you are and what you really want. Emma from work brought the manila envelope to my desk on Tuesday afternoon. Her eyes were sympathetic. The whole office probably knew by now. This was just delivered for you, she said softly. My hands shook as I opened it. Petition for dissolution of marriage. The words blurred together, but certain phrases jumped out. Irreconcilable differences, adultery, paternity to be determined. A sticky note was attached in Daniel's precise handwriting. Sign these. My lawyer will contact you about DNA test scheduling. All communication goes through attorneys now. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. Morning sickness or heartbreak, I couldn't tell any more. Sophie found me 20 minutes later, mascara streaked down my face. He won't even talk to me. I sobbed as she pulled me into a hug. All communication through lawyers, like I'm a stranger. He's protecting himself, Sophie said gently. Claire, I love you, but you hurt him badly. He's putting up walls because otherwise you'd see him falling apart too. Does he still love me? Sophie was quiet for a moment. I think he loves who you used to be, who he thought you were, but not who I am now. Would you? She asked softly. If he'd done this to you, could you just forgive and move on? I thought about it honestly. Daniel sleeping with another woman for 4 months. Daniel getting her pregnant. Daniel lying to me every single day while touching someone else. No, I whispered. I'd hate him. He doesn't hate you, but trust is like glass, sweetie. Once it shatters. She didn't need to finish. That evening, I sat in Dr. Helen Park's office. Sophie had recommended her. A therapist who specialized in infidelity and divorce. Dr. Park was in her 40s with kind eyes and a calm presence. She didn't judge as I poured out my story. Why did you have the affair, Claire? She asked simply. I was lonely. Daniel was always working. Marcus made me feel special, like I mattered. Did you tell Daniel you felt neglected before seeking attention elsewhere? The question gutted me because I knew the answer. No, why not? I don't know. I guess I expected him to just, no, to see that I was unhappy. So you expected him to read your mind. When you say it like that, it sounds so immature. I'm not here to judge, Claire. I'm here to help you understand your choices so you can make better ones going forward. Did you communicate your needs to Daniel before the affair? No. I admitted, tears rolling down my cheeks. I just got angry that he wasn't giving me attention, and when Marcus did, I took it. I took what I wanted without thinking about the consequences. And now you're facing those consequences. I'm a terrible person. You're a person who made a terrible choice. Doctor. Park corrected. Now you have to decide, are you going to let this define you, or are you going to learn from it and become someone better? Linda Hayes appeared in my office lobby 3 days later. Daniel's mother had always been polite, but distant. She'd wanted her son to marry someone from the country club. You have destroyed my son, she said loudly. People in the lobby stopped and stared. Mrs. Hayes, please, not here. Where then? You won't answer my calls. You've blocked me. So yes, here, where everyone can see what you've done. My face burned with shame. Mrs. Hayes, Daniel hasn't slept in days. He's barely eating. Do you even care what you've done to him?" "Of course I care. I know I messed up." "Messed up?" She laughed bitterly. "You're carrying another man's child, and you call that messing up. You're pregnant, and you don't even know whose baby it is." "I don't," I started, but my voice broke. "Exactly. You don't know, because you were sleeping with two men at the same time. You've made my son a laughingstock. His wife cheating on him, pregnant with God knows whose child." "Linda, that's enough." Sophie appeared from the elevator, stepping between us. "Claire has acknowledged her mistakes. This public harassment isn't helping anyone." Linda's eyes narrowed. "And you're probably encouraging her, telling her she's the victim here." "No one's saying that," Sophie said firmly. "But this isn't the time or place for this conversation. Daniel is an adult. If he wants to confront Claire, he can do it himself. My son is too good for that, too hurt. Someone needs to tell this woman what she's done. She knows," Sophie said. "Trust me, she knows. Now please leave before I call security." Linda glared at me one more time. "That baby might not even be my grandchild. Do you understand that? You've possibly stolen my son's chance at having his own family." She turned and walked out, leaving me trembling in the middle of the lobby with everyone staring. Sophie guided me outside to the parking lot, where I collapsed against my car. "Everyone hates me," I cried. "Not everyone," Sophie said. "But yes, people are going to judge you. The question is, are you going to let their judgment destroy you completely, or are you going to hold your head up and try to make amends where you can?" "How do I make amends for this?" "I don't know if you can, honey, but you can start by being honest from now on. No more lies, no more hiding. Face what you did and own it." I found Marcus at an upscale restaurant downtown. He'd told me he had a business dinner and couldn't see me, but something in his voice had sounded off, so I decided to show up. I wish I hadn't. He was sitting at a corner table with a beautiful woman. Not his wife, I'd looked her up online. Someone else entirely. He was holding her hand, laughing at something she said. I walked straight to their table. "Claire," Marcus's face went white. "What are you doing here? Who's this?" the woman asked, confused. "I'm his pregnant mistress," I said flatly, surprised by how calm I sounded. "Who are you? Mistress number 3? Pregnant?" The woman jerked her hand away from Marcus. "Marcus, what is she talking about? Baby, she's crazy. Don't you dare call me crazy," I said, something breaking inside me. All the people, pleasing, all the desperate need for approval, gone. Tell her the truth. Tell her you're married and you got your mistress pregnant. The woman stood up abruptly, throwing her napkin at Marcus. "You told me you were divorced." "This is a misunderstanding," Marcus started. "The only misunderstanding," I said, my voice low and dangerous, "was me thinking you were a good man. I destroyed my marriage for you. A marriage to a man who actually loved me, who was faithful, who worked hard to give me a good life, and you're just a liar who collects women." I turned and walked away, leaving Marcus sputtering excuses. In my car, I felt something other than grief, for the first time anger. At myself, yes, but also at Marcus for manipulating me. That night, a woman named Vanessa called me. "Is this Claire Hayes?" "Yes. Who's this?" "Vanessa Reed, Marcus's ex-wife. Well, almost ex-wife. Our divorce isn't final. I heard about the restaurant. That woman you met, she's an influencer. She posted everything online." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "I'm calling because you should know something about Marcus," Vanessa continued. "He's done this before, multiple times. He targets married women, makes them feel special, gets them to leave their husbands, then abandons them when things get complicated." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I was one of those women." Vanessa said quietly. 5 years ago, I left my husband for Marcus. Within months, he'd moved on to someone else. I'm building a case against him for fraud and emotional manipulation. If you're willing to share your story, it might help both of us. I thought about Daniel, about our destroyed marriage, about the baby growing inside me. What do you need? I asked. The truth, everything he promised you, everything he took. Can you do that? I looked at the divorce papers sitting on my passenger seat. Yes, I said, I can do that. Jake Porter showed up at my rental apartment one evening, Daniel's best friend, the photographer who'd been at our wedding. Jake, what are you doing here? Can I come in? I need to talk to you about Daniel. My heart raced. Is he okay? No, Jake said simply, stepping inside. We sat in my sparse living room. I'd moved out of the house 2 weeks ago to give Daniel space, and Jake pulled out his phone. He showed me photo after photo. Daniel at Jake's apartment, face in his hands. Daniel at the office, staring at nothing. Daniel at a bar, alone, surrounded by empty glasses. He loved you so much it destroyed him. Jake said, "But there's something you don't know." What? I whispered. The reason he was working so much, before the affair. I felt my chest tighten. He was trying to make partner at his firm so he could cut back his hours. Jake continued. He knew you felt neglected. He talked to me about it months ago. Once he made partner, he could delegate more, spend more time at home. He was doing it for you, Claire, to save your marriage. The room spun. No. And he was planning a surprise. He'd been secretly renovating a cabin in the mountains, your dream vacation home. He wanted to take you there for your anniversary next month, tell you about cutting back on work, start trying for a baby. I couldn't breathe. Daniel had been working to fix us while I was destroying us. Why are you telling me this? I asked through tears. Because he won't. He's too proud, too hurt. Jake paused. And because he told me a week ago that even if the baby wasn't his biologically, he'd been considering raising it anyway, because he loves you that much. What? I gasped. But then you called Marcus when Daniel came to get his stuff. He was in the house, Claire. He heard you crying over another man on the phone. That killed whatever hope he had left. I didn't know he was there. That call was me telling Marcus to leave me alone, that I was done with him. Daniel didn't hear that part. He only heard you crying over another man. Jake stood to leave. I'm not telling you this to get you back together. That's probably impossible now. I'm telling you because you deserve to know what you destroyed. And he deserves for you to know that he tried. After Jake left, I sat in the dark, holding my growing belly, crying for the man I'd lost and the future I'd thrown away. Lily was born on a cold November morning, 6 pounds, 3 ounces. Dark hair like mine, tiny fingers that gripped mine the moment the nurse placed her in my arms. Daniel came to the hospital as required by the divorce proceedings. He walked in wearing his gray coat, looking exhausted. "Hey," I said softly. "Hey." He wouldn't look at me, just at the paperwork the nurse had ready. "Do you want to hold her?" I asked. "I'm just here for the test." The nurse took cheek swabs from all of us, me, Lily, Daniel. He signed papers, his face expressionless. "Daniel, wait." I called as he prepared to leave. He paused at the door, his back to me. "She's beautiful," I said, voice breaking. "Your daughter is beautiful. Don't. I destroyed everything, didn't I? The cabin, your plan to cut back at work, us." He finally turned around. His eyes were red, rimmed. "You want to know the worst part, Claire? It's not even the affair. People make mistakes. It's that you didn't trust me enough to tell me you were unhappy. You didn't trust our marriage enough to fight for it before running to someone else. If she's yours," I started. "If she's mine, I'll be in her life." Daniel interrupted. "But you and me, we're done. Even if that DNA test says I'm her father, we're still done. Why? Because I can't spend my life wondering when you'll get lonely again, when the next Marcus will come along. I can't live like that. He left, and I held Lily close, crying into her tiny body. The DNA results came back a week later. I was home when my phone rang. I know, Daniel said when I answered. The lab copied me. She's yours, Daniel. She's ours. Maybe we could. I'll set up a custody arrangement through my lawyer. 50/50 if you agree. I want to be in my daughter's life, but that doesn't change anything between us. Don't you still love me? I whispered desperately. The pause stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. I love who you were, he finally said. But I don't know who you are anymore, and I can't trust you. Without trust, love isn't enough. The line went dead, and I understood. Some things, once broken, can never be fixed. While I was drowning in single motherhood, Marcus's world imploded. Vanessa's divorce case uncovered financial fraud. Marcus had been using company funds for his affairs, hiding assets, running scams. The influencer from the restaurant posted everything online, and it went viral. His company fired him. His wife filed charges. Multiple women came forward. Then Detective Anna Cross called me. Ms. Hayes, I'm investigating Marcus Reed for fraud and identity theft. I understand you had a relationship with him, if you can call it that. I said bitterly. Did he ever ask you for money? I froze. He said he was starting a business. I invested $20,000. He said it was our future. Detective Cross's expression told me everything. That money is gone. He ran romance scams on at least 7 women we know of. I felt sick. Not only had I destroyed my marriage for a con artist, I'd given him money too. Money Daniel and I had saved for years. Will I get it back? We're trying to recover assets, but I can't promise anything. What you can do is testify if this goes to trial. I will, I said immediately. Sophie held me that night while I cried. He took everything. No. Sophie said firmly. You gave him access. Claire, I love you, but you need to hear this. Marcus is a predator, but you made choices too. You chose to confide in him instead of Daniel. You chose to invest money without telling your husband. You chose the affair. Marcus is responsible for his crimes, but you're responsible for your decisions. She was right. In therapy, Dr. Park had been saying the same thing. Until you own your choices completely. Dr. Park told me, you can't heal, you can't move forward. So I own them. All of it, the affair, the lies, the betrayal, the destruction of my marriage, and slowly, painfully, I started to heal. 6 months after Lily was born, Marcus was sentenced to 5 years in prison for fraud and embezzlement. I attended the sentencing, sitting in the back. He looked smaller somehow, deflated. When his eyes met mine, there was no remorse, only resentment. The judge's words echoed, "You systematically deceived and exploited vulnerable women, Mr. Reed. This court finds your actions reprehensible." As they led him away in handcuffs, I felt nothing, no satisfaction, just emptiness. Daniel's lawyer finalized our divorce a month earlier. Joint custody of Lily, switching every week. The first time Daniel picked her up from my apartment, I watched his face light up when he held her. She said Dada yesterday. I told him, I know. He said simply, she said it at my place too. Emma from work had become a real friend. Do you still love him? She asked one day, with everything in me. I admitted, but love isn't enough. One evening at Lily's pediatrician appointment, Daniel brought his new girlfriend. Rachel, she worked at his firm. She was kind, gentle with Lily. I watched Daniel smile at her the way he used to smile at me. Sophie found me crying in my car afterward. He's moving on, I sobbed. Good. Sophie said, he deserves happiness, and so do you eventually, but first, you need to forgive yourself. How? By being the best mother you can be to Lily, by learning from this, by becoming someone who would never make these choices again. Dr. Park told me something similar. You can't change the past, Claire. You can only control who you are today. So I threw myself into being better. I volunteered at a women's shelter, helping others manipulated by men like Marcus. I rebuilt relationships with my parents. I focused on my career and raising Lily. Slowly, painfully, I learned to live with my regret. Some nights I'd look at our old wedding photos and remember the man who loved me unconditionally, the man I betrayed. But I'd also look at Lily, perfect and innocent, and know she deserved a mother who learned from her mistakes. Lily was 2.5 now, speaking in full sentences, running everywhere. Daniel married Rachel 6 months ago. I sent them a card. It was genuine. He deserved happiness. I still loved him, probably always would. But I'd learned to love him enough to let him go. I dated again, slowly. Trust was something I had to rebuild in myself first. Marcus was still in prison. Vanessa and I both testified at his appeal hearing, ensuring it was denied. Linda was kind to me at Lily's birthday parties for her granddaughter's sake. Jake still checked on me. Daniel doesn't hate you. He told me once. I know. I said, I don't hate me anymore either. That's progress. The hardest lesson. Some mistakes can't be undone. No amount of apology would bring back my marriage, but I could be better moving forward. Standing in my apartment, I watched Lily play. In the next room was a photo album for her. Pictures of Daniel and me from happier times. One day, I'd tell her the truth. I'd teach her about mistakes and consequences, about how love isn't enough without honesty and trust. I'd teach her to communicate, to value herself without seeking validation from others, to fight for her relationships before abandoning them. My phone buzzed, Sophie asking about dinner, Emma texting a meme, Vanessa sharing job news. I'd rebuilt my life from the ashes. It wasn't the life I'd planned, but it was mine. Some stories don't have happy endings. Some mistakes cost everything. But you can still choose who you become after you've lost it all. That was my story, not of redemption, because I didn't deserve redemption, but of survival, of learning to live with what I'd done. Looking at Lily's smiling face, I whispered, I'll be better for you. I'll teach you everything I learned the hard way, and I'll love you enough for both the life I destroyed and the life we're building now. That was all I could do. And somehow, slowly, it was becoming enough.